When I was a kid growing up watching TV and I saw anything about Africa, it was on Animal Planet. Only thing I knew about Africa was on Animal Planet.
The safaris and jungles.
The safaris, the jungles, the animals and stuff like that. That's what I knew mostly about Africa.
And then to feed the child for 10 cents a day.
Oh yeah, you can't forget that. The arms of an angel.
For real.
That's they're both gonna be funny. They're both gonna be kind of lighthearted, but like into our bags. So.
Michael Blackson.
All right, cool. Let's get to it. All right. Every once in a while, man, I just be seeing what's be coming across my recommended feeds and stuff like that. So I saw this video. Michael Blackson talks about Akon saying Africans don't think about slavery like Black Americans. Well, before we give our topic and our opinions on this, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Okay.
All right, let's get to it.
Well, I had Akon on my show a bunch of times. Me and him go way back. And one of the things that he said that got people a little bit riled up was that he said in Africa, people don't really think about slavery, whereas in America, they do. How is slavery really looked at out there?
Well, in Senegal, we've kind of overcome the thought of slavery. We don't even think about it. Only time we think about it, honestly, is when we're doing tours at Good Island. Outside of that, people have lived and moved and way beyond the slavery concept and idea and mind state.
And a lot of people got really upset. And this has always been sort of like the African, Black American.
Before he goes in on it, my initial thought when I hear that comment is that it kind of makes sense because as, for Africans, it happened so long ago for them because like we're still in the system that is, followed up by slavery. Like
right.
our system is designed from slavery. So we're in a country, the United States, where the after effects of it are happening now. So in Africa, it's
and we
like,
have no connection to the past or the history either. So
right. It's completely disconnected. Like when we got here, they took our name, our language, separated all that stuff, and there's a power in moving forward, but not forgetting. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to remember and to move on.
Right.
So I'm not mad at Africans if they feel like they had the mindset of like, okay, that happened. Let's move forward. As Americans, I feel like we need to get on that time too. Like,
right. And he just said that they don't think about it. Doesn't mean that when it's brought to their attention that they don't address it or feel a way about it either.
Right. Because
clearly, I feel the same way, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I'm not constantly thinking about slavery and how it affected me and why when things aren't going my way, do I go there like, oh my God, I can't believe this wouldn't be happening to me if I wasn't Black. That it doesn't go there.
Right.
For me.
And even when there's times like, I want to be consistent, like if something happens like with Jonathan Majors that we just talked about earlier on this episode, yeah, I could chalk it up to racism, but it's just like, bro, like it is what it is.
Right.
Like I'm ready to move forward. It's like, okay, they clearly have decided on this is how it is. Like, what can we do now to protect ourselves, empower ourselves, move forward? And I believe that connecting with our home roots will be a way to do that. All right, let's hear what Michael Blackson's about to say. Like,
he can't wait for him to stop talking.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if he's going to go the funny route with this or the serious route because
I think he's going to say it's going to be serious, but we're going to laugh.
Yeah, because Michael Blackson, he's smart, man. Shout out to him. Like I've seen what he's been doing in Africa. Like he's building schools out there to help people. Like he's doing a lot for Africa. So shout out to Michael Blackson. But yeah, let's see what he says.
Kind of conflict that in 2023 is still around. But what is your take when you hear statements like that?
Yes, man, I 100% agree to some of that. And I think what happened back in a lot of countries in Africa were all colonized by different countries. Okay. Ghana, Nigeria, most of those English-speaking countries were colonized by England.
Yeah.
Senegal
was France,
yada yada. All right, so when they colonized those countries, I guess when slavery was set up over, they try to like cover it up. To me, in my opinion, I've been going home and doing a lot of research. Mind you, I'm from there. I was born in Africa. I was born in West Africa, where they came and they took my people and made them slaves and do that whole process.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much about slavery till I came to America.
Mm-hmm.
So why? Why they didn't teach me this in the 3rd grade and 4th grade?
In Africa.
Why was it being covered up? Why are they trying to make things like, and that's the big problem.
Oh, so you think that's...
All right.
Wow.
This happens a lot. Burna Boy spoke on this as well, too. When they were colonized in their school system, they're being taught British history.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not being taught African history in their African schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, they're not going to be taught what's happened in Africa. They're trying to erase in America what happened in America.
Yeah.
There's state like Florida and Texas who are trying to get rid of the word slavery in history books. You didn't hear about? Yo, they're literally trying to take slavery out of our history books. It is insane. It's like people don't think it's that big of a deal, but when you literally rewrite history from the school system, what's going to happen? The next generation, it's gonna act like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Like we have to be very, very careful about history.
It's just gonna be just like how it was back in the day when we had the Black Panthers and stuff like that. Like where if you grew up in that rebellious household and stuff like that, it was a different tone in your home. But it wasn't like that for most people. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Logan is gonna be like the little Tupac type shit just because I'm gonna be constantly feeding him the information. But everybody didn't have that information.
No, they didn't. And it's crazy like how it originated, like the beginning of the Black Panther Party, the Bloods and the Crips, these were all like organizations to help the community from violence, from police brutality, or from they were protecting themselves. Like they were feeding the people. They were creating luncheons for them. They were walking kids safely to the schools and stuff like that. Like after school programs, before school programs. Like they were doing a lot of good for their communities. And they're just like, oh no, they're becoming too reliant on this and not relying on us. You know what I mean? But going back to what Michael Blackson is talking about, the importance of not... It's like it's not misleading. It's just like omitting information, and omitting information can be just as dangerous as the lying information or the miseducation as well too. Like, yo, if you're in Ghana or Nigeria, you gotta think, why do I speak English? Why am I Christian? Why am I this way? And stuff like that. And then you start looking at the histories like, we weren't always this. And then they teach you how what you were already doing wasn't good enough, wasn't up to par, wasn't civilized enough. When there were African kingdoms and stuff like that were civilized. Like if you look at Timbuktu, a lot of Europeans came to Africa to learn, came to learn information from Kemet, from Timbuktu and stuff like that. Like Mansa Musa was out here; he's the wealthiest black man just walking around. You know what I mean? So like. Yeah, there was misinformation there or information omitted. So
what's happening? You think that Africans actually are trying to cover up slavery themselves?
Well, no, I think they were brainwashed by their colonizers. To make and that's why, because I'm not sure how much. I have a school now, and we didn't get to that yet. But I built a school and. I was trying to get an idea like how much African history has been taught in these schools. How much these kids know about themselves. I want my kids to know about themselves, know about everything that's happened to your people from beginning to the end.
I mean, I can tell you one thing, right? And this is from an outsider's point of view. Like I was an immigrant.
By the way, Vlad is like Russian, I think. Just for you guys who may not know what he is.
I came over to America when I was about 5, and I lived in America my whole life. But in 2000, I went to Africa for the first time. I went to Senegal. And the one thing I realized when walking around Senegal was that there was a sense as you meet the people and, you know, you correspond with the people who live there, you have this this overbearing sense of the people there know who they are, they know where they came from, they're comfortable. You know what I mean? They could trace their families back hundreds of years. There isn't a level of uncomfortability that I think Black Americans have because of the history of slavery in this country was, I think, different than the slavery that was happening in Africa. You know what I mean? It was just at a much greater and I think more brutal level. So you have this sort of uneasiness that happens in America that when you go over there, you're like, oh, I'm the outsider here. You know, the white guy is the foreigner. The white guy is the guy who's just here visiting. Everyone else feels comfortable with who they are. And it was a very interesting feeling. And it made me realize how distinctly racist America is. Which you never really think about it because I've always been in America, right? So it was, I think it's something that until you go over there, you don't really understand. I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying?
100% agree, especially for the Black Americans. I think every Black American, if you could afford $1,000 round trip ticket, go home, pick a country.
Any country.
Pick any country. I mean, go to the West. Let's go to the West where, you know, most of the slaves came from. You know, go to the West. You are welcome. You know, I'm not sure where Blacks got the idea that Africans don't like them. It was a very good point. It was a point in life, even to now, where some Blacks feel like, you know, they don't like us. They think that Africans are better than them or whatever. You know, I know when I first came to America as a kid, it was a little bad experience for me because, you know, American kids can be very harsh at times. I mean, they clown me. You know, I had an accent. I was darker than most of them. And it's sad because all the Black kids knew was Africa was just a bush. Everybody work around naked because that's what they saw.
We weren't taught about each other.
They didn't show them much. They were, you know, they didn't, you know, but like now, that's why I say if you're grown now, take a trip back home. You know, we love Black Americans, you know, and the governments up there are giving them lands for like minimum price. Like everybody's welcome to come back. You know?
As you guys know, I've been to Africa 3 times. Jamila is also African as well too. I felt that when I went back, like your welcome is you're gonna hear that all day long, every day. You are welcome. Kenya, Caribou, Kenya. You know what I mean? Tanzania, Hakuna Matata. You're no worries. You know, Ghana, same thing. Like you're welcome to come. And there is a narrative or a stigma that they wish for us to believe, and it's kind of like how DC and Baltimore had that beef between each other too. You know what I mean? It's very similar. Like if you guys are from the DMV, you guys know that there's fake beef, not really beef, but kind of beef between DC, Baltimore.
So it's type of friction and tension. Who knows why?
Right, but some of it is. But when it comes to Africans and African Americans, I do know that they were told to be separate from Black Americans, and then there was also the propaganda here in America of what we think Africa is and was back in the days. Like, you know, all we had was TV and news back then. So when I was a kid growing up watching TV and I saw anything about Africa, it was on Animal Planet. Only thing I knew about Africa was on Animal Planet.
The safaris and jungles.
The safaris, the jungles, the animals and stuff like that. That's what I knew mostly about Africa.
And then to feed the child for 10 cents a day.
Oh yeah, you can't forget that. The arms of an angel.
For real.
That's all we knew. So, you know, as the internet became a thing and social media became a thing, now we're able to share.
Funny. So like my dad is Sudanese. So he was an immigrant when he came here and he met my mom. So when I'm growing up and I'm only seeing these things, like I'm going straight to my dad asking him like, how did he survive in the jungle? Like imagine me being a kid, he's just laughing like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because he don't know what they're teaching us in school either.
Right.
And when you get a kid, you're gonna realize you don't know what the fuck they're teaching your child at school all day.
Right.
I mean, you have When I tell you I have no idea what's being taught at that school, I might get a little dash here and there, but to say I know what's going on every day at that school is a hell to the no.
Yeah, you really don't know. You got to honestly be cool with the teachers. The teachers will let you know, but like your kids are not going to tell you everything that's going on.
Right, and they're not like, it's not like a real syllabus and stuff like that in elementary school and stuff like that. So at this point in time, the school is really just a babysitter. So he has no idea that this is the imagery that they're giving us.
They're showing you, and then what's being spread. It's almost like telephone too. So like I heard this from this, and then you just, and it was definitely a propaganda tool to keep us separated, to keep us not interested in Africa and have Africans not interested in us when they come over here. Because typically when the Africans come to America, they're sending the best of the best. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like only the best can make it over here.
Only the best can make it over here, because like literally, like America's immigration laws, of course, like we're trying to keep out as many people as we can,
really,
and we're failing at that. But you know, when it comes to the Mexican border, when it comes to all kinds of stuff. But anyway,
we're failing.
I mean, it is what it is.
You want that wall up?
Shout out to Trump. It's like the thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by this is all jokes and entertainment. But I mean, I'm about to be really big on my Umar shit. I ain't gonna lie. Like, if it don't got to deal with me and my people, I don't give a fuck.
I feel you.
I don't care. Like, they talking about the war and shit like that. Like, what they got to do with me? Besides us sending our money, like,
that's the biggest piece.
That's the only piece.
And I feel like that's
me.
what they keep trying to. It's the biggest piece, though. Like, it literally is just like the biggest piece, because when you really. We gotta finish this video because I'm about to get mad.
Yeah, we gotta get to the top topic anyway. So, all right, let's get back to what Michael Blackson got to say.
Ghana had that big thing recently, right?
Ghana's still having it. Ghana has land for like
thing. Yeah.
If you're American, if you're black gold, it's a land for like $1,500. You know, they have a land for you near Cape Coast, which is like Cape Coast is in fact where that whole castle was, where slavery were taken from. Come and grab this land back. You know, that's where you belong. This is your land. So yeah, man, blacks are welcome. You know, we love them. You know, and let it go and learn the history of what happened. Mind you, know, these people were captured. These slaves, they came with guns. We didn't have guns. We couldn't fight.
Yeah,
you know, they overpowered us with guns.
Right.
You know,
and they also bribed some of the leaders to sell off their enemies and stuff like that.
There was a lot of lying and deceiving and cheating and stuff like that. There was a lot of trickery. That's when they talk about them selling our own into slavery and stuff like that. Slavery back then, we use the same word like they mean the same thing, but slavery back then was different than the Atlantic slave trade. Let's leave it at that. Like, the slavery that we dealt with wasn't. They weren't used to people losing their names, their culture, their language. They typically will have to become a slave from a crime that they did or something like that. They serve their time. They get to go back to their families or whatever, but not generational, born into slavery and continuing on. That was unheard of. Like, they couldn't even fathom that. Like, imagine being in a land where everything is abundant. There's abundant of food, resources, water, everything you don't need for nothing. So that typically will make you less aggressive.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what's the point of us always doing this when it's pretty much enough for everybody? Like, there were still tribes and warriors at that time and stuff like that, and there were beasts, but it was never that deep like the Europeans' wars and beasts. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
You know, so it was
everyone had their hands in this dirty business, honestly. You know what I'm saying? No one was really clean when it came to the slave trade. Unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to blame too much on it. Poor people that trying to make a living, whatever, which was completely wrong.
Right, but I'm saying when you're selling off your enemies to the colonizers to be shipped around the world, you got to take a little bit of
but I mean,
you got to take a little bit of blame for that as well.
Yes, but the way the slaves were treated even before they left. I mean, if you get a chance, go to the slave castle, do the tour.
Well, I went in Senegal. I went to the place where it was at the slave distribution center. You know, what I'm talking about? The cannons. Yeah.
Is it right by the water?
Right by the water. There's that huge, like a shark tooth kind of.
Yeah, I haven't been to Senegal, but I've been to the.
No, it was sad, man. I started to cry there. It was sad. It was a sad place to think.
Yeah, go learn your history. You know, and
humans were treated like that. Yeah, it was fucked up.
Yeah, but I love my Black Americans. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. Mm-hmm. They embraced me from the first day they saw me, and I'm who I am because of Black America. So shout out to Black America. And any one of you, always welcome. Go to my house. You can stay in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone can stay at your house.
But we know they're not going.
And
we going.
Yeah, we going. Yeah, nah.
Why you say that?
Go to where you are welcome, not where you are tolerated. It keeps getting rewinded in my head. Like, stop trying to always like appease people who don't give a fuck. They don't care.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. And they shouldn't. Like, why do we even care to want that in the first place? Like, we just need to love and care about ourselves more than we do other people. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Like, when the Europeans were fighting against each other in wars, they can still ally up. You'd be like, all right, France could be like, yo, I really wasn't fucking with Germany last year because they did my, whatchamacallit dirty, whatever, but I'm still gonna fight with you because, you know what I mean, we still Europe.
Cause we right here.
Yeah, we right here with it. And
if they fuck you over, they over to me next.
Right. Exactly.
It's the bigger picture.
It's the bigger picture. And like with Africa, we have to think the same way. Like, Africans need to be able to be more cooperative as well too. Stop trying to cheat and lie our own people. Embrace our own people. I think the Africans are doing a great job by making it known and vocal majority of the cultures that I've seen have been very welcoming for Black Americans to come home.
Especially lately. It's like they're not even not mentioning it anymore. Yeah. It's like they always are making it a point to continuously mention it in almost every interview.
Right. Yeah. And we need to be on the receiving end and want to go out there. And I definitely see more of us finding interest in doing it. I'm just so happy to be a part of the mission to show people, yo, this is what Africa looks like. This is how it feels like being a Black American going over there. I've had people ask me, that I never met before, asking me questions about Nairobi, about Mombasa, about Kenya, like, hey, what is it like there? Where's the best place to stay? Where did you... I'm open, and I want to continue doing that and going back. Like, we should... You don't have to just get up and move and live there if that's not, your priority. But
it's mine.
It's a lot of ours. But even if you just want to visit, go where you're welcome. Like, there's so many places where people want to go and they're not welcome. It's like, man, well, if they don't want you there, fuck them. Don't spend the money with them anyway. Like, man. And if we can really do that, we pull our money together for some dumb shit, honestly. Like, it'd be cool, but it'd be dumb at the same time. Like, I love what we did when the Black Panther movie came out. Mm-hmm. That was like that really showed how powerful our Black dollar was in the States. It's like, damn, this was, even though this is a movie based in Africa, it was still that, it was just so beautifully done. The connection between Killmonger being African American, him having his feelings towards Africa. It was really a movie that really bonded our cultures together the way we needed it. It was right on time.
But at the end of the day, that money did not go to the Black people.
It did, but it didn't.
They got some little residual kickback off of it.
The only thing I could say about that is because they did film it in Tyler Perry Studios, which is owned by a Black man, so that's good. And Tyler Perry hires majority Black people, and so like it goes into the Black community. So, and then majority of the people who were cast, crew, makeup artists, hair, they were all either Black or African. So, and then the music was all Black and African. So like, it was probably like 80% Black, 20% white, which is very rare for a high motion picture movie by Disney and Marvel to go as far as it did. And then the storyline. But when we spent
that money, again, it did not go to them. That money was already invested in them. So when we went and spent our money, they got everything back off of that. That's what I mean when I'm talking the grand scheme of business.
Got you. Like, okay, once we spend the money with them, where is it flowing afterwards outside of just paying?
When they make
people?
the movie, they already spent the money for the movie.
Right. I see what you mean.
They already budgeted. They already knew what it was going to be before they even made $1 off of it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I see. And this is where it goes to like, okay, well, Marvel is the big boss. Disney's the big boss. They're going to do what they want with their money because they're the big investors. But the people, like the black people who invested, who profited off of that movie, like the director Ryan Coogler, like, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett. They were all doing things in return to that as well too. Lupita Nyong'o, she's Kenyan.
Yeah.
She's half Kenyan, half Mexican, but she gives a lot to back to Africa, back to Kenya and stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of times that we don't see what's going on, and I don't know all the details too. But to echo what you're saying, there should be emphasis on bringing stuff back home and investing back into our communities and stuff like that. And to just wrap this all up, I appreciate Michael Blackson for his words, because he could have came over here and just been bitter, because I heard his story many times. He moved here when he was young. I think he grew up in Philadelphia, and he grew up in the hood. And of course, when you grow up in a black neighborhood and stuff like that, you gotta know how to joan, how to have tough skin. You an African nigga, you skinny, you black, you dark, you coming out with bum clothes. Niggas was clowning him.
I was him.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, so it's tough. And
every African in America.
He could have been
in
resentful.
The 90s. Yeah, he was 80s.
Right. He could have been really resentful, but instead he turned it into comedy, turned it into light, and now look at him. You know what I mean? So shout out to him. Shout out to Akon as well too. Yeah, man. I'm gonna give them another round of applause. Let's get back to Africa, man. Shout out to them.